Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Dana Scranton, and welcome to 8 Minute Wisdom. Well, this is episode 4 in our series on your perpetual assets. In this episode, we're going to cover the mind, a very heady topic to be sure. Episode 1 was about time. Episode 2 was about enthusiasm and energy. Episode 3 was about attention and focus. Well, here we are at episode 4, mind. Here's what it all comes down to. What's running you is your mind. Your mind is a combination of your brain and the energy in which you are immersed. And when I talk energy, I'm talking about that ethereal energy, the thing that connects you to the vast resources beyond your comprehension. Now, that's not some spooky thing acting at a distance, like Einstein would say, although there is some very valid correlation there. But the point being is your mind is something that you control. And that's what this series is all about, the assets that you own and you control. You own your mind, you control your mind. Now, there's times when you're pretty sure you're out of your mind and somebody else is driving the bus. I get it. But the very realization that you can determine that may be happening means you're in control of your mind. When you have the awareness to know that you're out of control of your mind, you also have the awareness and ability to get back into it. Mental discipline, which is oftentimes heard in the sports field, is something that we as entrepreneurs have to master. We've talked about how we use time as an asset. We've talked about how we generate enthusiasm and the energy that comes from that. And we've talked about the value of your attention and how you multiply your personal effectiveness by the focus that you apply during those periods, time of attention. Well, now we're talking about mind because the mind integrates all of that. The mind is the driver. You're feeding your mind. It is your mind that is taking in the information that you are focusing on with your attention, with the enthusiasm and energy to produce the result you desire over the period of time that your mind is able to operate efficiently. And that may be 20 minutes, it may be 4 hours, it may be all day. But you are in control of your mind and understanding how it functions and what its rhythms are. You know, I've got some people in my life whose rhythms wake up about 8 o'clock at night. And myself, I'm a 4 in the morning person. So you have to be aware of when your mind wants to work, when it wants to come alive, and cooperate with it. Put your energy, enthusiasm, your focus, and your attention to work during the period of time when your mind is most effective and most active. Now, having said that, the mind is a powerful tool. It is a computer. It is a storehouse. It is a repository of everything that has ever happened. And to the extent that you apply it, a predictor of the future. Your mind is absolutely critical. And health, of course, is critical in keeping a healthy mind. So you got to watch your diet and your exercise and what you allow into your mind. And this is oh so critical. As an entrepreneur or just an effective human, you have to be so careful with what you allow to influence your thoughts and your feelings because it creates the emotions that generate the mindset. I really don't like to use that word, but it's common. The mindset that comes about from habitual thinking and exposure to certain types of energy and influences. Now we've talked about this idea that I have of the institutions of society, the good ones, the bad ones, what they do for you or what they take away from you. Your mind is what they're mining, okay? Your mind is where it's at for those external influences. They don't care about your body. What they want is your mind. You own your mind. You have the ability to turn off the influences that detract from the pursuit of that which you desire. As entrepreneurs, with our definition of entrepreneurship being the ability, the responsibility to identify and understand the needs of others, and then with courage, conviction, and resourcefulness, connect to them with a means of fulfilling their needs. Look, that is a very, very powerful way of living. It's a very powerful thing that we as entrepreneurs have at our disposal if we own it and appreciate it. And it begins in the mind. All of these things we're talking about in this series ultimately comes down to what's going on in your head. So your mind is very important. You control it, you own it. Please understand you own your mind. And when somebody's trying to buy real estate in your head, it's not for sale unless you want to sell it. You control it. But understand that when you sell a chunk of your mind, it's really tough to get it back. Seriously, sit down and think about the hangups you have, the the um, the old memories that you have, the inhibits, the things that keep you from doing what you want to do. Sit down and think about what is it that is holding you back, if there's anything. Hopefully there's nothing, but look, we have all sold a chunk of real estate in our vast estate of the mind. And we probably at sometimes wish we didn't do that. Well, you can evict those folks who bought that real estate in your mind. You can take it back. Why? Because you are an entrepreneur. You understand these assets that you control. And when you wrote the contract to let that influence into your mind, you had a little fine print in there that said, and oh, by the way, if I ever decide I don't want your influence in my mind, I reserve the total and complete right to boot you off the real estate that you're occupying in my mind. Start with that thought. You own it. You have the legal right to boot them out, whatever them is. It's not necessarily a person. It might be a habit. It might be an environment that you expose yourself to. All sorts of things that can qualify as real estate in your head. You just don't want people camping out in your brain and your mind, taking away from you the things that are absolutely necessary for you to achieve what you want to achieve. Because the world will be better for you achieving the things that you desire than achieving the things that other people desire. Does that make sense? Well, we're kind of getting a little heady here. No pun intended. But that's the topic of the mind. Because in this series, what I'm really trying to do is to reinforce the fact that you own and control a set of assets, a cache of assets, the combination of which are powerful in allowing you to influence the world, however you define that world. That's up to you to define. And we'll be talking about such things as we move forward in the next episodes in this series. So that was today's episode, episode 4, The Mind, a Thing You Own. It's not just a blob of tissues, chemistry, and things in your head. It is the big picture. It's the physical element that we call the brain, and it's all of the energy and information that flows into our mind from outside, what we do with it, how we allow our brain to function with that information. It's all up to you. You own it. You control it. It's your bus. Drive it where you want to go. Well, we'll see you out there on that vast frontier of opportunities and possibilities. And in the next episode, take care.